The International School Park City Hanoi ISPH is renowned for its commitment to providing a world-class education to students in Vietnam, blending international standards with a nurturing and inclusive environment. At the heart of ISPH success is its leadership team, and Mr. Stuart Hill, the principal of ISPH. With over 25 years of experience in education across multiple countries, including the UK and China, from a PE teacher to various leadership roles in educational institutions, Mr. Hill has brought visionary leadership and a passion for fostering a thriving learning environment to the school to Hanoi, created significant contributions to education and established a strong bond with people here in Vietnam.
Welcome the audience to Station Vietnam, Chat Vietnam on VTC10, and I'm your host, Phương Thảo. In today's talk show, we are going to have a conversation with a special guest from the UK. Having worked in education field for over 25 years, he is now living and working in Vietnam as the principal of the International School at Park City, Hanoi. During his 3 years in Vietnam, he created a strong connection with the country and the people, especially in Hanoi, and contributed significantly to the education foundation of many students in Vietnam. Please welcome to the show today, Mr. Stuart Hill. Thank you so much for joining our program today.
Yeah, hello, my name's Stuart Hill and I'm the principal of the International School at Park City, Hanoi.
Having lived in several countries before, why did you choose to live in Vietnam for a long time?
So I've been fortunate and I've travelled a lot all over the world, and I think firstly lots of places in the world are actually very similar, and I've always felt that Hanoi stands apart in the fact that it's quite unique, and the kind of combination of whether it's geographical location, age, the uniqueness of its buildings, the old quarter, it's a fascinating place to live. So that's one thing that sets it apart. And then when you combine that with the idea that when you travel, you're sort of thrust into that centre. When you live here, you don't necessarily spend all your time living in that travel bubble. You're able to explore further outside of the city, explore more areas of Vietnam generally, get further into meeting local people. I would say I've had friends now who are Vietnamese, and so you're able to immerse yourself more into the culture, into local life, and to the reality of a city which you then start to call home.
So you started your career as a physical education teacher in the UK and took leadership roles in various schools before ending up at ISPH in Vietnam. How does experience as a PE teacher and also different leadership positions in various schools help you with the work as the principal of ISPH?
So all the experiences you gain guide you as a person. It's great. You could be somebody who reads lots of books and then tries to adapt theory into practice. I don't think I'm that person. As a PE teacher, reading wasn't one of my priorities, but maybe relationships. So I think I spent a lot of time building relationships with students in the past. Because of the nature of PE lends itself to that. It's very easy to build strong connections with groups of students and staff. PE teachers and PE teams around the world are renowned for being close-knit groups who support each other well and show care to each other. And so combining that and adapting it to the kind of mould of being a leader, I think is quite easy, because it's about relationships. I see it as about relationships, and it's about being supportive and caring and wanting to improve and seeking to be better. So I would say that's probably the most important facets.
So you mentioned about your connection, your relationship with Vietnamese people. So after 3 years living in Vietnam, how do you think about your connection and relationship with the local people here, especially in Hanoi?
Well, my fiance, future wife, is Vietnamese, so I've obviously got one very good relationship, which I'm proud of. But I think, as I mentioned earlier, I would count people as friends who are Vietnamese. So my personal relationships with people have grown and strengthened since I've been in the country. But I think Vietnamese people are so warm and so friendly and so welcoming and so caring. And I think when you see the community and you see people working alongside each other, it's so obvious the warmth and the depth of friendship and support. And I know family is so important to Vietnamese people. It's so lovely to be engaged and involved in a family network and dynamic as well.
Mr. Stuart Hill believes firmly that education should never be quantified by just academics, and that a young person's well-being and character development are equally as important for the success. A happy student learns and strives and will show greater progress and pride in their development when fully motivated and challenged. His educational philosophy resonates with all teaching, learning and nurturing activities at the International School at Park City, Hanoi, ISPH, creating a comprehensive environment for students at all ages grow up with knowledge and skills to pursue their passion.
According to the ISPH education path, students will be at our school from when they are small children until they are 18. So how do students at primary and secondary levels prepared for next stages of their education?
It's about having specialists in all fields. So we have specialist teachers right from students joining us when they're 3-4 years old, who are focused and understand all of the learning goals that are necessary for a student to develop themselves at that age, all the way through to students who are 18, and the needs that they have are vastly different to a 4-year-old. And having specialist teachers, having specialist support, understanding the needs of those age groups. And then I would say that's probably one of our biggest strengths, is we deal with people as individuals. Every one of our students is an individual to us. And so everyone has a different pathway, everyone has a different focus, everyone has a different need. And we work really hard to support all of those needs so that when students leave us, they're able to follow their pathway of choice and go on to do what they want to do and get into the destinations of choice around the world.
Yes, of course. Each student has their own passion. Some choose physics, others choose arts and music. But actually in Vietnam, subjects like arts or music are usually considered as not as important as academic ones, such as mathematics, English or literature. So what is your opinion on the significance of these classes?
It's really difficult. That isn't the fault necessarily of schools. That's possibly the fault of the education system and the world. The world has defined that there's core subjects, and the phrase core subjects is probably the most annoying to teachers like myself, who was a PE teacher in the past, who understands just what can be developed and learned from a PE, music, art, drama, dance, and everyone is different. So if we take music, it's a phenomenally difficult subject to study at the top end, and students being able to become creative, to problem solve, to overcome challenges, to reason out solutions to musical problems. And there are huge amounts of musical problems that students will face that they have to overcome and adapt their thinking around in order to come out with a positive outcome. It's the same with maths. It's exactly the same principle, but we're applying it to a very different subject. And so with all those subjects, with all the things that students go on to study at a higher level, so for us it's what we call A-levels, at the top end, none of those subjects are easy. They're all difficult, whether it's drama, whether it's music, whether it's art, and they all teach a different set of skills that enable students to go on the pathway that they choose.
share with us your educational philosophy? What do you believe is at the core of educating children?
For me, I think it's about the values and about the kind of core values that we have. And there's been a lot of phrasing around the idea of soft skills internationally, and I hate the phrase soft skills because they're the most important skills. When you actually break soft skills down, they're the key ones that separate and define the best people in any field. So soft skills are things like teamwork, soft skills are things like problem solving, risk taking, and they are our core values. So we have a set of core values and a set of learning habits that we believe are absolutely central to the development of children. And I believe in that as well. It's about character development and about creating young humans, if you will, who are young adults who are going to go out into the world and be successful. So I think probably in terms of my educational philosophy, it sits around character development and personal development, which links back to what I said earlier. For me, it's about the connection over the content, and if we can connect with students, we can really help them and guide them on their soft skill development or their character development, their core values development, then hopefully we're giving them the best chance of going out and being successful in the future.
With 25 years of working in the education field and 3 years in Vietnam, what do you see from the education system in our country?
It's a really good question. There's a lot of I think when I see some of the work that's being produced in, say, the public schools in Vietnam, it's of an outstanding standard. Whether it's the depth of understanding around mathematical topics at a certain age, or the clarity in the writing. A lot of the learning is the same. You know, kids tend to leave school knowing how to do long division or multiplication, and there might be different methods that are taught, but ultimately they learn the same things. It's the method of learning that changes. So for us, we might not give kids the answer. We get them to try and work out the answer themselves. Whereas maybe in other environments, you're given the answer and then you're told to repeat it and practice it over and over again until you understand it. And so the method and the way is the thing that varies, and I think then obviously adding on to that is the breadth of subjects that we have on offer in comparison with some schools. And maybe with some of the other schools that's narrowed in favour of going slightly deeper into what we've said again, those core subjects of the maths, the sciences and the language. I don't think anything is right or wrong, it's just about establishing, and we all learn from each other and we all try and take the best, but it's about establishing what's right for your context and what's right for your situation. And one of the lovely elements of working in international education with supportive owners like we have and a supportive board of trustees is that we're not forced down a pathway that maybe doesn't suit our context and our group of students. We as a school have been facilitated to enable us to do what's right for our students.
Thank you so much. I think that is the end of our talk show today. Thank you so much for sharing in our talk show, and I hope that in the future your journey in Vietnam will be continued and ISPH will be developed even further in our country.
Thank you for listening to me, and thank you for learning about the international school Park City, Hanoi. It's been lovely to explain more about it.
That is the end of Station Vietnam, Chat Vietnam on VTC10 today. Thank you so much for watching and hope to see you soon in the next episode.